Hello and welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 244. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Isli
Yo.
and Messiah.
Hello.
And we have quite a bit of news to go over this week. A lot of small stuff, uh, kind of across the board with some big things, like the fact that Highguard is going to be permanently shut down in 4 days of this recording on March 12th.
That's
They,
crazy.
yeah, Wildlight, they released a one final patch with the new warden, new weapon, new skills and stuff, so people can at least play it. But yeah, it's gonna shut down. And it's we've already talked about this game to death with the fact that how it shouldn't have been shown at the end as a one more thing by Jeff
Mhm.
Keighley, and it did kind of unfairly put, regardless of how the game is, because I've heard other people in games media talk about, oh well, I played it and it was just okay, and it's kind of like, oh well, regardless of the other stuff, really it comes down to your gameplay. I'm like, yeah, but the gameplay and your experience of it is going to be heavily influenced by the fact that there's so much negativity in the gaming space leading up to the launch that even
Mhm.
if it, like, unless it was like the next coming, and we'll kind of get into another game that's that came out as well that's actually seems to be doing well despite some negativity early on. Is that it's like, yeah, you're going to be influenced, like it has to hit so much harder in order for you to overcome that bias that you have from everything leading up to launch. And it's like, whereas if it didn't have that, if it was just shown kind of offhanded early on, kind of like, even like I think about a game like Four Loop, which is the J.J. Abrams game, co-op 4-player co-op game that comes out. It kind of looks okay, but when they showed another trailer again at Jeff Keighley's showcase, there were people who were like, "Oh, this," like when they showed like the boss fight against the cube and like you're dodging the lasers and stuff. A lot of people I've seen that watched it, that I watched a lot of reaction of, they go, "Oh, they aren't interested in it, but they do say, "Oh, this looks fun." Like some of this stuff looks fun. Like I'll probably try it out. Like of course they should because they're in games media. They need to have those opinions. But at least the sentiment is like, "Oh, they're not interested in another co-op game, but there's aspect of it looks fun." So it's like that could have been the same issue case here, but it's like, "Oh, well, it is made by a team who've worked at Respawn, so they know how to do shooting and they've worked on like Apex Legends, so they know how to make a game." And it's like, okay, let's see what they're trying something new. Even if it's like you have trepidation over the fact that it's another co-op game, and maybe it could have lasted longer or had a slower tail. And there is things like criticism, understandably, that we talked about, where it's like, yeah, if you can't handle not being a hot shot out the gate and you have to close down because you're not selling immediately within those first few weeks, it's like, then yeah, that's bad planning. Like that is the other half of the issue. It's like, because at least in Concord's case, like no one got it. Like I did, but like hardly anybody played it. Like a lot of people played Highguard at launch. It was like almost 100,000 people concurrence on Steam at least. It's like people at least tried it, but it just they didn't stay. And so it's like, okay, now they're like, oh, we got to show up. It's like, so it's just this two sides of the issue: the gaming base, and just potential poor planning on from an administrative level. But it is annoying that we're in the day and age where, because people talk about like new IP, and like, yeah, sure, it's a multiplayer IP, but you just can't really do that anymore.
Mhm.
I mean, I
But
think that, well, there are like new IPs that still come out and do really well. It's just that those new IPs need to be like extraordinarily polished, or they need to be indie games, or they need to have like
right,
viral marketing. Like they need to play their cards perfectly and do everything kind of perfectly to be a new IP. You can't have
yeah,
missteps.
like you said, indie. So it's like in order to do new IP, it has to cost, and not necessarily that every indie game costs not a whole lot of money, but it's like in theory, I feel like multiplayer games should be cheaper than single player. Usually, because I feel like a lot of, especially like this is kind of pushing it, not necessarily a AAA, but I feel like that's kind of the marketing. It's like AAA co-op shooter, yada yada, and it looks really good and has all the signs of a AAA, like if it was coming from Respawn kind of situation. Where if you're going to go into a multiplayer market, it needs to have that kind of budget. And because they talk about how they just kind of, went over, but like they didn't have enough to necessarily get there. So it's like whatever else they had that they needed to kind of finalize and get the game that they wanted when they initially launched. It's like, okay, well, that's, sounds like your problem because you should have budgeted more accordingly. But
Right.
yeah, it's like, and I it is annoying that Concord has become sort of this. colloquialism for in the games industry of, oh, it's Concord 2, or
It is a
it
I mean, it's annoying, but, like, it is a good way to effectively describe the situation of, like, you kinda fucked up.
yeah, and yeah, it's just I but I feel like so much of it stems like because like it got a 7, like IGN gave it a 7 out of 10, and I feel like that's fine. Like 7 out of 10 is good. Like that's not bad. Like there's plenty of 7 out of 10, but like to in the multiplayer space, you definitely do need more. But I feel like it could have coasted, on how it was. But it's I don't know. It's rough. It's just the whole shutdown. Like I could see if it at least lasted longer, but yeah, they're just gone. They're gonna be closing down. It's like because but I feel like and we've talked about this in the past, like, that happened with Disintegrate back in the day. I forget who that was a multiplayer shooter as well. Disintegrate game. I forget who made that. I think it was ex-Bungie people. Let me open this up on Steam. It's from V1 Interactive, who have recently done Roller Drome. So they did Roller Drome, and Ollie Ollie World and After Us. So at least the developers there. But yeah, Disintegrate like didn't do well at all. It was I think that was ex Bungie people because it had like those like Bungie speeders that you'd go on in third person. It was like a sci-fi first person shooter, but it's in third person when you're on the bike. It's like, but yeah, that just it came out in 2020. It did not do well. And that's an example of another like a group of people breaking off to from previously from a studio to start something else, and it doesn't work. Versus like well, I mean, even look at the Evil Within, right? Like that studio, they they let them go. They Microsoft closed them down after whatchamacallit, and then they got picked back up by was it Crafton got them? It's just like, okay. Like I don't know what's going on. But I feel like it's tough for anybody unless the game that they make, like in the case of Evil Within, it's like a spiritual successor. Like unless you do it, but even like Mighty Number Nine didn't do well. Uh it's like you need to do a spiritual successor to the
I don't
game
know.
you're known
I
for.
feel like one of the tricky parts of all of these examples, though, is that they were above average but not great games. Like Mighty Number Nine was a solid game, but they marketed itself as Mega Man, and it wasn't as
Hmm.
polished as Mega Man.
Yeah.
So if you are going to compare yourself to like old games and say like you're the spiritual successor, and that's how you market yourself, you need to be as polished as those games you are referencing.
Yeah. But
And
I
Mighty
thought
Number Nine like didn't do it. I do feel like Evil Within was actually quite good. So that's
it
maybe like
was.
a unique one. But like
Yeah.
Mighty Number Nine didn't do well. And then I would feel like one of them that did do well is like I feel like Bloodstained marketed itself as Castlevania's successor and then actually did do well.
I don't I will say I think in these instances with a lot of these Japanese developers who end up because I feel like it's usually the Japanese developers that go to do something else, especially if they're like the main creator of a series and they do another game that's similar. They're not necessarily marketing it as, hey, this is a spiritual successor. It's us that are doing it because it's like, oh, it's very because it's easy to say this is very much like this game that they did. Um, not that Evil Within is a perfect, you know, there's different aspects of it that make it people might not like it if they love Resident Evil. But yeah, I feel like that's what they tend to do is make games that are very similar to what they know because that's what they know. Unless you're Kojima and then you do Death Stranding. You're like you go the complete opposite direction of Metal Gear. You're like, nah. And then he waits forever and now he's doing Sigint, which is gonna be like, okay, now you're at the traditional Japanese developer position of leaving a studio and making a spiritual successor, quote unquote, to the franchise you're known for. So he's taking a very different approach uh, than some others. I'd be really curious if there are other Japanese developers who have created something that is not like at all. Like what's that game? Recore. That came out on Xbox. Who was that by? Recore's let me
Oh
see.
God, I forgot about that game.
Where's the development? I'm looking for Recore. Developed early. Yeah, it was. The concept was contributed by Keiji Inafune, so it wasn't necessarily. It was just the concept. He didn't necessarily do it. The writer. It was written by Joseph Staten, best known for working at Bungie. He kind of created the story and the backdrop, but like the idea, I guess, the concept of it came from Keiji Inafune. But it was that before or after Mighty Number Nine? I'm trying to see, but yeah, because this is in early 2014. But when did Mighty Number Nine come out? And Mighty Number Nine was 2016. Okay, so yeah,
Oh, I don't wanna hear that.
you don't want to hear it. It was 10 years ago.
Well,
That is
uh,
kind of disgusting.
but yeah, it's
mhm,
like that. I guess that is an example, but he didn't necessarily make it. He just kind of pitched an idea. Um,
mhm.
so it's like okay, so not quite, but I am curious if there are other devs who have just don't do what you're known for. Because I feel like the reason you do that, and this is purely speculation on my part, is that when you have a successful series, it's very hard to veer off creatively within the same franchise because you'll probably get pushback from like, no, let's do what works and not change too much. But maybe like you have ideas like, oh, I like this, but I really want to add some extra stuff to the formula and try something else. And like that's why you make the spiritual successor because then you can kind of be like, okay, you have a lot of the tropes from the genre, but you try to insert try some new things as well. And I didn't play Mighty Number 9, so I'm not sure how much different it is than Mega Man because it feels very Mega Man. But even like when I played Bloodstain, it didn't necessarily feel like it was too different than Castlevania. So, maybe there's some smaller things in it. Like they're not doing the civilization approach, right? But maybe that's just they want a little more, or they just want to own something that's like a Demon Souls, and they did Dark Souls because they want to have their own thing, just control over it. So it could be that it's like okay, I have no control over this, even though I created it. Like the maker. It's like they own it, the company owns it. So, but who knows? But yeah, to all that to say, Highguard's permanently shut down. So it's sorry to see, but hopefully the devs can find some work elsewhere. But yeah, then some other stuff we have is the other game I was thinking about during this conversation was that Marathon is out. They have confirmed seasonal resets for players every few months, so it's like okay, that's good that you're doing that, because it's optional in something like Arc Raiders, but that's because it's a much more casual extraction shooter. This is more like the Tarkov route of, yep, we're gonna wipe you. But I know they did come under fire so people are at least enjoying it. They are saying it's tough. The AI is tough. It's like, yeah, I mean, some of the AI can be tough in Arc Raiders, but it's more like you need to choose to do those big fights if you want to. And typically, if you're going to take them on, you'll have go in with plenty of stuff knowing you're going to fight those specific enemies. And I guess some of the free loadouts were make it a little difficult. They did announce that they're going to patch in to give the free loadouts in Marathon some extra bullets from the start because you also don't get that many in Arc Raiders. You need to loot it, but usually you can loot a lot of ammo in the wild. And they did say they're also going to increase some of the ammo that's in some of the ammo and meds in the med and ammo crates and increase the spawn rate of those in a specific map they were talking about because I guess it was kind of low. But one thing that they did get flack for is they announced their premium currency with the microtransactions, which kind of you expect just like with Destiny, cosmetic stuff. But the pricing was bullshit, where it's like you can buy the $10 pack gives you like 1,100 of the currency, but the cosmetics are 1,120. So you have to buy the 10 pack and then the $5 pack or the $15.
I
I think there's
mean,
a $15 pack. So,
I hate to say it, but I'm kind of like, yeah, that's why people hate
yeah,
microtransactions.
and
Oh,
None of that is like none of that is necessarily surprising. That is why people are like these microtransactions suck.
yeah, and so they say they're gonna fix that as well. So it's like, but you didn't see that from the start. Like Fortnite made a change later on. It took them a while, but typically their premium skins were 20,000 V bucks, which was $20. So it's like if you're gonna buy the super ultra legendary premium skin, it's $20. So you buy the $20 currency, which would also give you more than 20,000 V-bucks. I think maybe give you 25,000. So like you have some left over. You can buy maybe some cheaper emotes or something or do whatever, or eventually get the battle pass or whatever you want to do. But they did make a change where when you went to go buy something, and if you had V-bucks, you could buy just the balance at checkout. So you didn't have to do this bullshit. And I'm like, which I thought was a great change, even though cosmetics are still insanely priced in that game, and they always have been. I don't think they're going to change that because it makes them so much money. But like, you didn't see this from the start. Like, hey, let's not price the cost of the skins to 20 extra currency over what this threshold
I
is.
hate to say it, but I'm kind of like
mhm.
after going through Destiny 2 with Bungie, I'm not surprised at any of this shit that Bungie's pulling now.
Yeah, but they,
They definitely milk their games for cash like to a disgustingly huge extent.
yeah, but yeah, they did say like, okay, we're going to change this. So it's at least they're doing that, and it should be coming this week as well with the ammunition changes and whatnot. But yeah, people are enjoying Marathon. I've seen. I got a buddy of mine playing it. I guess you can't, even though it's like a squad. You typically want to play squads. It does have you can queue solo, and it sounds like it does what Arc Raiders does, where if you queue solo, it'll put you in the match with other people who are also solo. But there's also like a stealth kit, so everyone just runs the stealth kit, which makes sense because the enemy AI is also pretty strong. Blah blah blah. So I am really interested to give it a try. I do want to. I was kind of waiting to see like, okay, is this because I wanted to try Highguard as well, but it's too late now. But now that I know I can queue solo in this game, I might give it a shot and just see how it goes, and just maybe not care so much that if I die, I die. Who cares? Whatever. I'll just to vent steam. I'll just play Arc Raiders, be a total asshole, and just kill everybody. Which I thought would be really funny to do if I ever go back to that game. Just villain arc it in solo and be like, I just don't care. Just mute comms and just kill everybody, so I don't have to hear them whine and cry for their life. Like
Oh my god.
I'm a dad of 2. I only have 3 hours, motherfucker. I'm a dad of 2. I only got a couple hours, and I'm taking it out on you, bitch.
And I have a goal.
I used to keep like anytime someone betrayed me, I'd keep like a list of their names in a document, so I'd have it up on my second monitor. So if I see
Dude,
them
that's
again,
psychopathic. That
Well,
is
no, it's 'cause
psychopathic shit right there.
they're psychopathic for pretending to be friendly and then either killing me when we go to extract or something, and I'm hitting the thing. It's like, no, if you betray me, I need to know your name so
You
I
kept
can.
This guy got a death note.
No, you kept a revenge list for
Yeah.
PvP.
Dude, there are people who put like hits out on. I think they're later. Eventually, people were like, "Watch out for this player. They're very cheeky." And some people eventually did it where it's like they just wear a skin that kind of indicates that they're not to be trusted if they wear that particular skin. So it's like, okay, if you see someone
Oh,
in that,
dude,
it's like
that's still
they're
no.
bad. But
That's still insane.
I dude, when I was on the friendly arc of that game, I was like, if you betray me, I was like, okay, I it's gonna be Bethesda, not Bethesda. Whatchamacallit, I will remember this. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like that thing. He's like, okay, I'm not gonna forget. But
Everyone disliked that.
yeah, exactly. Everyone disliked that. Uh, but yeah, I think it would be hilarious just to villain arc it, because I wonder how if people have tried that, but it's kind of like playing the evil playthrough of Baldur's Gate. It's like where they can't commit, but like I think the reason maybe they can't commit is because of the open comms. But I'm like, if you just mute the open comms, brother, you
Mhm.
don't have to worry about it. But anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about that game. I'm not gonna play it again. I'm done. But I am really interested to play Marathon. I know it is very divisive with its art style as well. Like some people aren't fans of the hypercolor, ultra clean aesthetic. So like they don't want to. I get it. Like that's fine. You can not like how it looks, but I'm curious how it'll do. I'm just glad that it's doing well, because that's a game that when the open beta came out right before they're originally going to launch, it just got trashed. Like people did not like it. It was not that great, and they postponed it. And
Mhm.
I'm just glad it seems to be doing well, because there's major concern. Like if this doesn't do well, Sony gonna shutter Bungie? Like, so hopefully it's doing okay for the
I
next
think
couple
for
months.
me, I just want to know who's making all these decisions at Bungie. Like the microtransactions, all that shit. I want to know if it's coming from Bungie internal or if it's coming from Sony internal. And if it's Sony internal, like stop it. Just stop it.
I'd imagine they have a little more freedom based on their record for, like, I wonder how much, like you said with Destiny, like did they have that same kind of pricing structure in Destiny, and did they change it, or is this way different than Destiny? But I feel like because this is a different game, like maybe that's why they tried to price it like this. Like I don't know. But I wish that because it was Sony owned, that they would do like a free trial on PlayStation Plus or something. Like that way I don't have to drop $40 just to play it. But it bugs me that there's no multiplayer trial for this game on PlayStation specifically. But
It does really
anyways,
seem like a multiplayer focused game like this should have a multiplayer trial so that you can actually try it out. That does seem sort of like a should be standard kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And keeping it with multiplayer, these past couple stories, I saw an article about how Elden Ring Nightreign players are like they really want another major update, or even just another character, even though the game isn't a live service game. I'm like, man, people like you can't just enjoy what you got. You wouldn't survive in the PS3 era multiplayer, where it's like this is what you get. Like maybe you get some more maps, but it's like you got the maps. Like you play those. Like that's how it was in Battlefield. Like they hardly added new things. Like you got eventually like here's a map pack. Like they did map packs. Where she's like, oh, here's a map pack. It's like some of the maps from earlier Battlefield games or whatever. But like it's typically this is what you get. You didn't get new operator or new like characters or weapons. Like you got what's in there. Like you just play it to have fun. But like wanting whole new stuff. And I guess some of it is too like, oh, there's like hints at other things within the world story wise, I guess. That like, oh, we would love to see this thing that's referenced. I didn't look it up because I didn't want myself to care if I ever go to the game in the future at some point. But it's just weird that they're begging for content. Because they got the Forsaken Hollows DLC, which is the paid, which added 2 Nightfarers and a new map, some bosses and whatnot. But no, like they want more. It's just like, okay, I don't know, man.
The same people that are like, we don't want more live service games anymore, but also update and add to our game.
Yeah, unless it's the one that they play, they really love. They're like,
Yeah,
oh, now I do love it. It's like
yeah,
it's the remake thing. Stop it with the remakes. Oh, unless you do the remake I really want. Like
right.
that's it's no for you, yes for me.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's I thought that was a funny bit. And then moving on to some other stuff, we got Ubisoft officially confirmed the long in rumored Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake called Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, which is a remake which everybody knew was coming. So that's going to be they just teased it, but confirmed it in the tease. So we'll see when they officially announce that. It seems
Genuinely
weird.
thought that already came out.
Now well you're thinking of the other pirate game that they did, which is weird. It's like it's why would you like people love Black Flag, but what they love Black Flag is all the pirate stuff in it. Not necessarily it's an Assassin's Creed game.
Hmm.
It just seems weird to remake it. Like I don't know. Like I have no.
Why
Do you
make
have?
why remake that one and not like two,
Yeah,
which
like
is the one that like launched the series pretty much.
yeah, or even like one, but with a lot of the mechanic. Like one was very like you traveled, like it was a big world. You had to travel back and forth to. Like Altair was on his horse, like running. You had to run. You remember running between all the stuff, like all
Oh,
the major points. It's like oh my god, the running. But what if you turn that into an Origins Valhalla Odyssey style game? Like remake it that way. Like that would be cool because like oh now you're remaking this into the style of the recent ones. That would be awesome. But yeah, it just seems weird to do that, and plus it's like it was so long ago, man. Like really this one, but I don't know. I have no interest in playing it at this point. Like maybe if it came out way back, but
I don't. I liked it, but not enough to play it again as like a remake. It's just
yeah,
like it's fine. If I want to replay it, I own it. I will just go ahead and replay it. So but if they had remade one or two, I would be all over that. But
yeah,
it was just an okay one to me, and I think mostly because it had that like, it had the first person like out of the animus thing,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and it's kind of where like it was starting to pick up and get really interesting, and then it got really interesting at the end of it, and then they shoveled all of that to like side content, and so now it has like a little bit of a bitterness to it. It's just like
And,
ugh, none of
and
this
like a
matters.
book or something, like some short story
Yeah,
for how all that shit ended, which was so dumb. Uh,
yeah, it's like ugh, none of this matters. So just get me back to the pirate shit.
it's also so weird because like yeah the ship combat was great and it is the best of it because they had ship combat in Odyssey and they had I think you do a little in Origins when you play I'm blanking on her name the other assassin but like you do it's like one small section where she's like on her ship I forget where she's going but you have like fire arrows and that's like your attack between ship to ship combat and then they have some of it they have it in Valhalla but it's the best in Black Flag which is why they started Skull and Bones. It's like hey let's
Hmm.
take this great mechanic but just do it just pirate but then shit took 11 years to come out. So it's like I don't know man I don't know. It's
It's it's just a weird choice.
It's like a sunk cost fallacy, like, they put so much into it already, like, "We gotta get it out." Like,
True,
we
yeah.
c yeah, we just can't scrap it. But, I did see a funny article, about how is that game Crimson Desert that's coming out, that people are really excited for, I guess. I think it's coming to consoles. as well. It's not like just a PC only thing, but I guess like the devs are upset that people think they're hiding like console footage, even though I guess they are showing PS5 and Xbox Series X and S footage when they're showing off that game, and that people are like wondering if it's going to be a cyberpunk situation again, where it's like, oh, it's actually really bad on console. It's like, nah,
Mm.
we're showing it, but I just thought that was a funny bit because it's like it's fair from a gamer standpoint to be, speculative, especially when something looks really good. To be like, is this real? Is this real? But yeah,
I mean, it's a pretty common rug to pull to essentially say, like, actually,
yeah,
we've been showing
Mhm.
you the wrong stuff all along. Not
yep,
the
yep.
wrong stuff, but different stuff all along.
Or do the cyberpunk thing where you're showing the console version, but like you're walking through like super slow. That way the game doesn't misrender stuff.
Yep.
So it's
Mhm.
like, okay. But and then moving on to speaking of Japanese developers making other stuff, there's concerns that Gang of Dragon, which is that new game is being funded by NetEase from Yakuza creator Toshihiro Nagoshi, apparently might not come out and the studio might shut down because they
Mhm.
need extra money to finish the game, an extra 44 million
Oh. Oh
to
god, I didn't even
finish.
see the number. I just
A
saw that.
small little number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did glossed over the number. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Bloomberg reported that the Chinese company NetEase told Nagoshi Studio employees that it will stop financing the studio in May, which in turn will likely mean that they will have to shut down. And they're currently in the process of cutting its video game. And NetEase is in the process of cutting the video game investments, which has already led the studio. Has led to studio closures and layoffs. And according to Bloomberg, NetEase made the decision to cut the funding after it learned that Gang of Dragon needed another 7 billion yen or 400 or $44 million to be
Oof.
completed. So, and Negoshi's trying to find new investors to help buy out the studio. But we'll see what happens. 'Cause I remember when that game was showing off, like a lot of people were super excited. Like at least Yakuza fans were like super excited for that game. So we'll see. And this is what I was talking about earlier with Highguard. Is like this goes back to funding. Like if this is an issue, we're seeing it live in real time. They're like, we need to finish this game. We need more money. And then Ace is like, no. So they're gonna cut it out. But because it's a single player game, they can't do the high guard method of okay, well let's push out what we got and we'll finish the content, whatever we're missing, as we go along. Because it's like at least it's in a good enough place. Um, Almost like you're doing a inverted early access. It's like the same, except you're like, okay, we're saying this is the 1.0, but yeah, it's
I was gonna say, like, oh, is this why some studios do like crowdfunding and stuff like that? But I don't think you can crowdfund $44 million.
unless you're
Maybe,
what's
but
that?
You
What's
gotta
that
try real
space game?
hard.
Star Citizen.
Yeah, unless you're
yeah,
Star
that's
Citizen, yeah.
that's true.
Dude, that game Jesus, that game crowdfunded a lot.
Yeah, who knows when
Still
it'll go
Is that
crowdfunding, I
game
guess,
not still
technically.
crowdfunding? Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
say.
still going.
yeah, that story bit of it hasn't even come out, but people are playing the other portion of it. But yeah, it's we're in a weird spot, and I wonder how much of that comes from just money spent on setting the studio up and acquiring talent versus purely game dev cost. Well, I mean, that's all under the umbrella of game dev costs, but you know what I mean? Like, how much of it is setting the foundation for the studio prior to development and then not just all development costs? It's like, okay, well, maybe if we had gotten up and running quicker, or
Mhm.
we had fewer people, like maybe we got there. I mean, I don't know how you get fewer people to save $44 million, but it's just, yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
Like I
unless
said,
like a CEO took like a $30 million bonus, you're not making that up with salaries.
yeah, yeah, it's a weird spot for game development right now, especially for new IPs. If you're not part of the big publishers,
Mhm. It's really disappointing too, because it's like if it had been any kind like a time extension or even half that amount of
yeah,
money, it probably wouldn't have been an issue. But my God, what needs that much money? That's crazy.
yeah, yep. We'll see what happens. They got till May, so maybe they'll find someone else to step in. I mean, it feels like something maybe. Well, I don't know if Sony would do it, but we'll see. If it was back in the day, I could see that.
Hmm.
And then moving on, we Also have Asha Sharma, who's the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, came out and officially announced the project Xbox Project Helix, which is their next generation Xbox, which will play both Xbox and PC games. So there were rumors that this was going to be the case, and I just never spoke to the rumors in the podcast because it's like I'll just wait till the announcements come out.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, it plays both, which is like, okay, so it's like a Steam machine, but it still plays Xbox. But does it boot up in two different things? Is it gonna run
Which
just go ahead?
I was just gonna say, when I saw these rumors and like my first question when I read them was like, then why does it play Xbox games? Which I know sounds like a weird question, but given that almost all Xbox games are also PC games,
Hmm.
like I genuinely had trouble thinking of Xbox games that weren't PC games. I was kind of like, what's the point?
Well, it's
Yeah.
also like there are a lot of Xbox games that aren't on PC, like older games, if it has backwards compatibility. And I feel like there's no way now one of the companies could not do it, seeing how much pushback both companies got on, previous consoles. Like that was a big push from Phil Spencer was to get backwards compatibility with some 360 titles through software updates on the console. And they ended up getting there. Like they have a lot. But like going from
But
three to four, go ahead.
this is just truly a PC at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's like
And
Basically.
I'm not uninterested in it. Like, to be clear, I don't think that's a bad thing. Just like this is truly just Microsoft developing a modularized PC.
well, that's if it's modular. That's the other thing too. Is there's so many questions like, okay,
Yeah.
is it upgradable? Is it locked in? Is it going to have two OS boots? Is it going to be like with the PS3, like the OG PS3, where it's like when it played PS2 games, it booted up like a separate PS2 hardware in the system to launch those games. It didn't use any of the PS3 stuff, so it was like segregated from a hardware standpoint. Is it going to be like that? Is it going to be just the Microsoft store? Is it going to be the Steam store? But if you have like all the Xbox licenses on Xbox consoles, you're going to get access to the PC license. Like I'm curious, like, yeah, there's so many other little questions that it's like, okay, that's fine. You got to explain to us how you're going to do it though, unless you're like still working that out and you just have no idea.
They just announced this thing. They're like, "We don't actually know how we're gonna do this, but this is what we're doing.
I
So
It's
mean,
just
it's
letting you
crowd
know
I
this
think
is
it's
what
a
we're looking
cool
on."
idea though. Like, I think it's cool and it has a lot of potential and it could be really like a great way to boost consoles forward into kind of like next generation. So I actually love the idea. It's just,
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, because like the Steam machine back in the day when they originally launched it, like the idea sounded good because back then it was like if you're a console gamer, the great thing about consoles is you buy it and you know that everything comes out for it is going to run. It's going to boot. The game might not be optimized just because some games aren't optimized, but it's like you don't have to do anything. You just put in maybe the console needs an update, whatever. The game has an update, so you got to download it. But it's like if you just put it in, it's good. It's not gonna be like, oh, it's running poorly. I need to upgrade this component of my console. And it's like that's the thing. And with Steam machines, it's like, okay, that's kind of the idea that they were going for. It's like, oh, you just run it here, even though because it wasn't standardized, like everybody was making their own Steam machine. It's
Mhm.
like, well, now you have like it's like if Sony open sourced the PlayStation 5 and then anybody could make a PS5, but they all had different, components in them. It's like, okay, well, this one has more RAM, this one has more hard drive space, this one has this thing. It's like, okay, well, this is dumb.
We made
And
the
like that,
Steam machine, but basically it's just PCs again.
yeah, and exactly. So it's like I wonder what they're gonna do here, or if it's just how they lock it down and keep the budget down. But to me, it just comes back down to licenses too. Like if it's not two different system subsets, like maybe the cost of an Xbox Series S, all the components you actually need to run the games become cheap enough that they could be their own separate components within the console. So anytime you put in an Xbox game, physical game, it just boots up through that. It's like, okay, but you're not getting like I get the trade-off there is you're not gonna get like the full 4K resolution. You're gonna get whatever
Yeah.
the S could do.
I mean,
Um,
Mhm.
I think my biggest question is just how do you keep the experience good when you're playing a PC game that's not controlled by Microsoft? That's like my
yeah,
burning thing because it's like, okay, Xbox, you have quality control, so you can control what the experience is because they all play the same, kind of like you mentioned. But with the PC game, the ones that are Microsoft, sure, you can do that with those games. The ones that are not Microsoft, how the heck do you control what that experience is like? and like how well it
Yeah.
plays. If it plays like shit, do you just admit like, okay, our console can't play it well? Because
Mhm.
that's not a great experience then, and it defeats the purpose of a console.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like and then depending on what you have in it, it's like, okay, obviously every PC game has to be able to be scalable across multiple different I mean, you look at the Steam hardware review list and it's like people still using 1080s, right? It's like you gotta, I mean, you have what, a 1070, Zaya?
Yeah,
Yeah,
1060, 1070.
1060, 1070s. Like people are still using those, like in some instances.
Not by
And so it's
choice.
like I know. Be it by choice or not, it's like there's so much. Like I wish I wonder if you can see. I wonder if I can look at it right now. Steam hardware list. So
To be
this is
fair
from
on,
the
like, that front, though, is, like, I play 1 video game on my PC at this point.
right.
But, yeah, it's like if I wanted to play anything new, I don't, basically,
Yeah,
because they're just not developing for that anymore.
yeah. Like there are people. Yeah, I'm looking right here. In February, only 9%, barely 9.5% of players have RTX 5070.
Mhm.
As of the February review. And it's like, and when I look at this list, and this is just from all video cards, which is insane. This list has so many. Jesus, I wish this was in Excel. But like, there's like the 1080 Ti, like that's 21% of players still use it. Now it's down 0.15%. So some people are changing, but it's like I'm trying to go back. But like even fewer people use an RTX 2080, which is like yeah, the 1080 Ti is still, like, pretty high like, oh, there's a 1070, 0.42% of people use a 1070. 1050 is at 0.37%, and so
Mhm.
it's like and it's such a big spread even across, like, the 40 series, and, I mean, the 4090 is at 0.47%, and I use a 4070 Super, and where is that on this list? Like, it could just that's what came in my laptop or my computer when I bought it. Oh man, I don't even see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm in the 3.19. We're like the top 8 of GPUs is the 4070 Super, which is what I have. But that's also it came in the PC I bought. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like pre-builts probably are going to be what make up the top versus everybody who's either running an old maybe at the time when they got their PC, that was the pre-built default graphics card outside of folks who actually build their own PCs, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so yeah, the spread is crazy. And that's yeah, through all video cards. Yeah, even like the 1650 is still being used by a decent amount of people. But yeah, so it's like there's such a big spread, and there are games that are usually have better scalability than others. Especially depending on like if they have a really good engine. But yeah, it's like what are you gonna do here? And it's like you have to have agreements with the storefronts. It's like, okay, but now you're losing if people buy games on your game on PC, the PC version of it, you're getting less money, especially if it's through Steam or Epic Game Store or something, if they have Epic Game Store or whatever on there. It's like if it's only the Microsoft Store, it's like, okay, then it's not gonna be nearly as good. Like the whole idea of it being a PC is access to Steam is essentially what people want.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, like I don't know. And it's like, yeah, because then there's gonna be that's great for gamers because like there's so many Steam sales that go on, especially for those indie titles that are on a console that are only on Steam. It's like, okay. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm really curious how they execute it.
To be clear, like I love the idea.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the natural progression. I feel like the UI and how it's all handled has to be like so dialed in for this.
Well, that's why, like, if I were to play Xbox games or Switch, it's like I would just buy those games on PC. I wouldn't worry about getting a dedicated box. But it's like if because you're still not going to get all that utility of the PC, which is why PC players go that route. Because like, oh well, yeah, I can file my taxes on here. I could, do whatever. It's like, but there's so much more utility on there. I could, watch YouTube on one monitor while I'm playing games on the other one. Like, there's so many other things.
I think
Mm.
the other interesting thing will be like revenue and pricing of games. Considering consoles are not historically the thing that makes money, it's usually the software. So if you are splitting the software up between like how do you get a piece of that money? And it's like, I'm curious if it's going to be you can play PC games, but you have to like pay a fee to play PC games, or if it's going to be like somehow subscription based to play a PC game, which would be weird. But like, yeah, how do you prevent someone from saying, oh, the Xbox version of this game is $80, but the Steam version of this game is $12, and my machine can play both, so I'm just going to buy the Steam version of the game for $12, and then you multiply that by millions because that's what everyone is going to do. They're not going to choose the expensive Xbox version. They're going to choose the cheap version of any multi-platform game.
Right.
Mhm.
Or by default, a lot of games are like they're $10 cheaper on Steam because there's no physical manufacturing cost. And it's like, but they don't do that for their games. When Indiana Jones came out, it was the same cost across console and PC because they want to avoid exactly what you're talking about. They don't want to put it out on both and have people who have both a PC and an Xbox at the time to be like, well, I'm just going to buy it on PC because it's $10 cheaper. Versus like, yeah, if they put out a game or a game comes out from third party developer and it's like it's on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and it's like, okay, well, it's on there. Plus, also sales don't line up. Usually if there's like a big sale, like a publisher sale, that publisher will do it on Steam and Microsoft Storefront and Xbox and PlayStation. But a lot of times Steam does their own sales that don't happen concurrently with consoles. And usually they're tiered. A lot of times it'll be Steam first. Then after that, the game I'll be looking at Steam, like Pacific Drive's a great example. I've seen that go on sale a lot on Steam. And then it won't be on sale on PlayStation, but then later it'll go on sale on PlayStation. Like these games that are on both platforms. It's like this weird, oh, let's do it there, let's do it here, like choosing instead of being across the board, it'll be like, oh, it's only on this storefront, it's discounted. So it's like, how do you deal with that? Where it's like, okay, you also get a steeper discount on Steam traditionally than you do on consoles. But and that a lot of that comes down to probably they're getting less of a cut from Microsoft and Sony versus whatever they're getting from Steam, uh, potentially, depending on the size of the developer. But yeah, it's a lot of questions of what's going on. Because then concurrently, there's rumors that Sony is pulling out from putting their first party games on PC like they've been doing.
Mhm.
And the rumors that they're not getting as much money as they thought they would. Like it's not necessarily the juice isn't worth the squeeze in the situation where it's like, and I think a lot of that comes down to the timing. Like if you did it 6 months after launch, maybe you'd get more sales on PC. But then there's also concerns that it could hurt sales of PS6 games if people are like, "Oh, I'll just wait for it to hit PC." So it's like it's
Yeah.
this weird, but I'm like, but you can't have it both ways. Like, uh, so it's again, but it's all rumors. That's not confirmed by Sony. But I feel like I don't know. Yeah, there are people where it's like, okay, if it's going to come out on PC, I'll just get it there a year later. Sure, but is it really? I want to see like the back end data if that is the case, like of how much you think you're losing. I don't know, but that's just a rumor right now. So see if that's true. But it's like if that's true, that makes sense. If Xbox does this PC console, because then your games are going to be on there eventually. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay,
And
well
are you
now,
actually losing money, or was it just because they don't want Sony games on an Xbox console?
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, I can understand that. Like, we don't want it on their console, so we're just not going to do PC. Okay, I can see that, but it does put us in a weird spot because then it's like, okay, well, now we're going back to the console wars. Now you got to sell by your exclusives,
But
which
like
you're gonna.
then on the other hand, if the next PlayStation also plays PC games, really all you've done is you're still doing exclusives and you're trying to eliminate the PC market as opposed to each other. So instead of Microsoft and Sony competing, you're both playing PC games and you're both competing against PCs while trying to still win people to your specific brand loyalty based on exclusives. So that would be interesting too.
I don't think they'll do it because they're not in that space. Like Sony doesn't manufacture PCs, so if versus Microsoft being like, hey, we have the
Well, they
OS.
they don't have to manufacture PCs, right? They just have to play the PC games.
Right, but I mean, like, they're not like, they were so late to getting into the PC market, with some of their titles, whereas Microsoft has been doing it longer, plus they have a whole arm of their company that's focused on personal computers, so it's like, even though they're not manufacturing, obviously, they're not like they don't have HP or whatever, but they, like, have so much they've been in that space in some fashion much more than Sony has, uh so it's like I could see why you would there's more synergy, corporate synergy, for Xbox doing that than there is for Sony. Maybe if they put like pachinko machines or something in there. Some
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yes, I want a pachinko PS6. Just let me put a pachinko oh man, faceplate for the PS5, but it's got a little pachinko thing on the side of the faceplate. That'd be
Oh my
dope.
god. You're gonna
My
trade
kid
in your
just
little chips to buy games.
yeah, my kid just sitting here on my lap just because my PS5 is
I
right over here
hate
just
this idea.
dropping.
I hate that you even said that.
It's so tall, man. You could put a little I'll 3D print a pachinko faceplate and then just you drop a little token in there. You're just sitting here on the podcast here and go click, 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 hitting all the pegs on the way down.
What are you doing? I'm trying to get tokens. I
Yeah.
just want to play my game.
Yeah.
It's just a straight up like gachapon machine. You have to put in the tokens it and turn the little thingy, and that determines what you get to play that day.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting move. Like I said, if they do that, because I'm like it's very not similar, but it's kind of like the move they try to do with the Xbox One, right? Like it's the one console. They TV, and all the other stuff, as well as a game console. They wanted to have more functionality. So I'm curious how they're going to now. If this is more focused on games, that's what people didn't like about the initial Xbox One marketing under Don Patrick. So it could work because this is more game focused. It's not like they're saying, Excel, Excel, Excel. They're just saying like, hey, Steam, 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 more games.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting. But yeah, it'd be curious to see. I'm wondering when we're going to see, because there's also rumors that we won't see the PS6 until 2028 because of the RAM issue right now and graphics issues because of stupid AI. But we'll see what happens. I mean, not that I'm like hurting to be like, oh, I can't wait for PS6. Like we're at a point of diminishing returns. Like just you don't need to make the graphics better. Like there could be other things. Just put
Yeah.
games out for this
I,
console. Like
I will say that is one thing I do appreciate about Xbox is I feel like they try a lot of other things and we are at a point of diminishing returns. So I do appreciate if the new thing they're going to try is PC games, that's fantastic. And it sparks competition. And I hope it makes Sony try something new because Sony's needed to try something new for a minute now.
yeah, yeah, they do some PlayStation TVs and they are doing VR. They did try VR at least, and Microsoft didn't. And then when I was looking at that Steam database, PSVR was a pretty decent percentage of VR platforms. But it's like it's small, but obviously it would be because you would use that for the VR games on the console, not
I mean,
necessarily.
I'll say it. I wouldn't mind a hybrid console like Switch from Sony. They kind of dipping their toes in with the Portal. I wouldn't mind like a full-on hybrid console from them.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do because they're right. There's not even any rumors on if they're doing anything weird, right? Uh, versus like back when before like the Move and Connect, like there were rumors that they want to copy what the Wii's doing. Uh, there's no whereas like these Xbox PC rumors have been going on for a bit. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. Like I said, not there was a lot of stuff, a lot of small stuff, dealing with funding, closures, and just across the board. I did see that there was like some in like we'll get to it in what we're playing, but like there's like a crazy final puzzle in Resident Evil Requiem. They solved that this week,
Mhm.
which I thought was like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't have done that or figured it out on my own, so I don't care. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to what we've been playing. We'll go ahead and start with you, Isli, because I know you weren't here last recording, and we already had both talked about Resident Evil Requiem. Now we hadn't finished it at the time, or did you? I forget. Don't think where you watched it. I was slightly further from what you'd seen, Zaya. So we didn't talk. I was like right at RPD.
Mhm.
So that's where I stopped. I have since completed it. And I'm assuming Zaya, you have since finished watching it as well.
Yeah.
But did you beat it, Isley?
Yep, I've finished it too.
Okay. All right. So
We're
what
all
you
at the
weren't
same
here.
spot for like the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah, since you weren't here last week, what are your thoughts on the game?
I already ranted a little bit about this. So I guess high level, really enjoyed the game. I think it's playing off of the nostalgia of the Resident Evil 4 remake, and I honestly feel like it's an extremely polished game. I really loved both Grace and Leon's sections. The first person horror sections are handled extremely well. And then I really like that essentially, I know everyone's commented on this, but making Leon's sections not horror, but action after everything he's been through just makes so much sense. And it's a really nice way to divide up like I'll compare it back to Resident Evil 4. Of at the start of the game is much more horror and it's much more like tense and scary. And then by the end of the game, you have so many weapons that it just becomes a straight up action game, and it is a very fun progression. But it also like doesn't quite make sense when you kind of think about it in some instances of like, why is Leon by the end so much stronger than he is at the start of Resident Evil 4? And splitting it up with essentially like the same kind of game progression between Grace and Leon, but having it be separate characters was, in my opinion, like a really nice way to do it and follows like the story still, because you have the new person and then you have Leon who's experienced, and at no point do you really like reset Leon back to like being afraid of a basic ass zombie. So I really like that. I think that both perspectives actually work pretty well. The only thing I kind of commented on is I'm still semi convinced the game was designed in third person first. And not that first person doesn't work, but so many of Grace's animations just seem to make so much more sense in third person. And specifically, it's Grace moving so freaking slowly, but then when you go in third person, she like trips and falls and things. And it seems like they wanted some way to slow you down. So it kind of felt like, okay, in third person, they'd come up with the concept of Grace runs and trips and falls and stumbles, and that's how she slows down to kind of illustrate that she's less experienced. And then when they added first person, because my theory is that first person came later, they basically went, how do we replicate that? Oh, let's just make her move way slower. And there are like a few decisions like that. Like even picking up blood, where it's kind of clunky in both, but in first person, in my opinion, the animation is way clunkier sucking up the blood like that, because you just clip through everything. That it just makes me think that first person was added at the end and not an original design goal. That said, I actually think it works really well, and they like both versions are designed pretty well. I'm just kind of the opinion that first person came later. I think my only like, I guess this is spoilery. You
That's
guys,
fine.
yeah, you guys both
Yeah,
finished it.
this is we
Um,
beat it, so it's a spoiler discussion.
yeah, my only other thought is like I went through the entire game wondering what happened to everyone else from Resident Evil 1 and 2. And I wish they commented on it even just like a tiny bit. And I'm sure it's going to be DLC or something. But it was kind of immersion breaking to not at one point be like, what's going on with Ada or Jill or Claire, especially Claire, like anyone else that was in Raccoon City. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
yeah, because they're like, oh, Chris is off doing something. Would have been great if he was here.
Right, but it's like all of these people are infected presumably as well, right? Like it just feels like there was some piece of dialogue where it probably should have been like, "Hey, maybe we should save some of this drug." And that like conversation never actually happens.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's one of those things where it's like it's the Marvel thing, right? It's like, oh, so and so's doing this, but where are the other Avengers? Or it's like, okay,
Mhm.
they can't always be there. It has to be their own. Because I feel like then you get
Right.
the Resident Evil movies where it's like everybody's in it and there's
Right.
crazy stuff that has to go on. I'm like, okay, well now you're
But
getting a little too
and I
much.
agree with that, but that's a like to that extent, if you're going to have a Resident Evil game called Requiem, and then it's going back to where it all started, it's really hard not to mention all the characters that were there when it started. Like it felt a little bit like Requiem was kind of trying to like wrap up old Resident Evil lore, and I'm curious, if that's the name of the game as well, and that's why they're doing it. But it just feels like maybe they needed to like mention some of the other people if this really is going to be the game that kind of like tries to move on from past lore.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense they stick just with Leon and because it's like, okay, it's R2, but yeah, what is Claire? Well, she could be doing something not necessarily with Chris because she's not gonna. I don't think she's part of the BSAA. But who knows? I don't think I like that they have some other characters in it that are like, oh, hey, it's this character that I thought was it was fun. But yeah, I'm sure they'll have like they'll be next to be like, okay, we did RE3 remake, so now in the next game, the next new game, maybe it'll be Jill. With it would be fun if they had games where it was the characters because like in 6, it has Chris and Leon and Ada and Sherry in it. But Sherry is a playable character in 6 as well. But and they have a bit where Leon and Chris confront each other. They even fight because they don't know it's each other at first, and then like so there's like a fight scene between them. And then they part ways because they're doing their own like that game's very much like there's a global thing going on. It's a little over the top that game,
It's
but
absolutely and they fight over Ada. Well,
Yeah,
in a way,
it's
he's like, "I wanna kill Ada," and Leon's like, "I don't wanna kill Ada," and then they
yeah,
fight.
not the lady in red. But yeah, it's that game's a little. Maybe I'll go back. Like they tried a little too much with the combat in that game. I think didn't really work, especially for Chris's section. But um, yeah, it's I would be it would be fun to see characters pairing characters together who maybe have never been in the same game. Because I that is what's fun about that bit in Resident Evil 5 when Chris and Shiva they run into Jill and she's been taken over by Wesker like under his control, like mind control. And
Mhm.
that's fun. Like you have that fight, like that's fun. And it's like okay, you save Jill, but it's like okay, what if you had like Claire and Jill in a game? And then or what if you had, what if it was Claire and Chris? You know, like well, I guess they are together in Veronica, but they meet up at the very end, but they're both doing their own thing. Like Chris is going to find his sister. He's like, "Where is she?" So if they remake Code Veronica, I guess that'll be you can do it there. But yeah, no, I was fine with it being just Leon. Yeah, because like is Claire old enough now that her body's immunity to the T virus is waning and she's also infected? Is she gonna get cured just like Leon was? So
I kind of assume they'll all get cured, or they're just gonna like hand wave it as like, oh, actually, we just gave everyone Elpis off screen.
Mhm.
But I think it was more so like I didn't need to see everybody, but it was a little immersion breaking. I'd say that with a little bit of like laughter of like, yes, Resident Evil immersion breaking, but it just felt like at some point he probably should have been like, I should get some of this for Chris, or like some side comment. It's just like a side piece of dialogue where he at least acknowledges like, I probably need more of this than just for
well,
me
that
and just for
that's
me and
if
Sherry.
that is the question. Like, because Chris he was at the mansion and then he went off. He wasn't in Raccoon City proper, so it sounds like the airborne nature of the T virus
But
mainly
like
just
Claire
being in
was.
Claire. But that's what I'm saying. Like maybe she it was just some off screen thing.
Yeah,
But
so replace my statements of Chris with like Claire, and it's kind of like Leon just being like, maybe I should get two like just two extra doses of this, like something like that. I
I'm
know
sure
it's
they're
super nitpicky. It was just like, come on, man.
well, he probably does because he says to Sherry or thing like, "Oh, we have your antidote on the way." So it's not like it sounds like Elpis wasn't fully destroyed. Like they're going down there and digging up like what they can or to replicate it and whatnot. So it's like
And
it's not all gone. They just got to sift through the wreckage.
yeah, and I think that like maybe this highlights why what I was kind of hinting at, which is like I hope Resident Evil they started doing it with 7 and 8 and I actually liked it, which was like it seemed like they were trying to introduce a separate storyline that had less connection when they introduced like Ethan and Rose. And then they obviously tied Chris into it and then they had cameos, but I'm kind of hoping that this game kind of like wraps up how frequently we see the older characters from Resident Evil because the cast has grown so large, they almost need to like pare it down. Like I kind of feel like at this point they need like Chris or Leon or someone to retire and go into like sometimes they do like voice cameos or something, but you're not playing as them anymore because the cast is so big that it's hard to ignore when people don't show up now for exactly like you said. Like it's like the Marvel effect of like but what is this person off here doing? And some of these events are large enough and kind of like world changing enough that it is the same effect in, criticism of Marvel, which is like, oh, the world's ending, but Thor hasn't shown up. Why does Thor not give a shit about the world ending? It's like
Mhm.
starting to get to that point with some of these games. Whereas like the lower key stories, when they kind of tried to reset it with like the mold and Seven, work a lot better. In my opinion, I think the like story aspect of it works better when they tried to like separate it like that.
Yeah, yeah. Chris is still off fighting werewolves from Village, so he's cleaning those up. That's what he's doing.
He's
Yeah,
busy.
it's not. I feel like there's so many characters that they don't got to bring back. Like they don't got to. Jake Mueller doesn't have to come back. he can just like okay, like you could bring him back. I don't care, but he's not like a standout character from 6 that I need to know. And it's like okay, that's fine. But yeah, I'm curious if they're gonna do the idea with Elpis if it's like okay because it's also weird they give you the option to pick the ending but there's only one canonical ending, because if you pick the bad ending, because I went and watched, like, I picked the ending, I'm like, okay, well, based on everything we see from Spencer, it's this ending. But then I watched the YouTube video for the bad ending, and then after it does that Baldur's Gate thing where if Gale explodes, it goes, this is an ending, but it's not your ending, and like it tells you like you want to go back and make a different decision, and it's like the
Yeah.
game has you pick the good one.
To
But
be fair, the bad ending is bad.
yeah,
That you
uh,
can't continue from that.
yeah. Uh, but I'm wondering if it's like, okay, Elpis is there to destroy all iterations of the virus. So it's like, okay, now is it the mold from 7 that's gonna be like people are trying to do, or Las Plagas, like they gotta do and weaponize these things that aren't virus based because Elpis is gonna destroy any virus based bioweapon. Uh, so it's like, I guess that's gonna be the case, but who knows? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that this was basically like this is them saying this is how we end the T virus and such, and how we wrap up like we've wrapped up the Raccoon City story. There's still other bioweapons out there. There's still other like there's Las Plagas, there's the mold. Let's go back to those and like let's expand on those, or maybe they jump forward because I didn't play the DLC for 8, but uh doesn't it like change the focus majorly to Rose Winters and she gets like some major power up or something, or like jumps forward in the
Mhm.
future?
that it's the furthest in the time because we talked about this on the podcast, you weren't here, but I was like, I was looking up if I should play that before this, but it takes place canonically the furthest in the franchise. So I was like, okay, I don't need to play
Right.
this
So like
right now.
maybe they
But now
try
I'm
to
really
jump
curious.
ahead with Rose Winters, and like maybe Resident Evil 10 is like the start of Rose leading an organization, and like the mold is out of control, and Chris and Leon and all them can still be around for like they pop in, but they're like old dudes or something. But like maybe that's how they try to move it forward. It feels like it needs like a step forward, and that Requiem was like trying to tie a bow on part of the story so that they could do that.
Yeah, I need to play her DLC because I'm really curious, like where she goes and what she's dealing with. And like, is it still the mold? Like someone else is using it. Like I'm really interested because maybe that could be a clue. Is like, oh well, this could be interesting. Like, is it another faction? Is it just one dude who escaped the village who's like yada yada? But who knows? But did you see Tofu when you were in RPD?
No.
Tofu.
No, you didn't.
What?
Oh,
No.
oh
Oh
man,
no.
so I was doing the puzzle where I got all done, X gonna give it to you, and I leave, and then it's like he sees the helicopter. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm done. So I go around, I go into the underground garage to find the supplies that they said were in there. But I'm like, I still have that locked locker. I'm like, I'm gonna go back into this place. There's got to be like a key somewhere, the JoJo locker. And then I end up following the Barry Birkin's puzzles that he has going on. So I'm doing all that. I go back into that room with the chalkboard and the TV, which is where the key is for the locker. And as I'm going in there, this is the second time I've been in there. I hear like a boing, boing, and I was like, "What the hell's that sound?" And I rotate the camera, and then like I saw something on screen for a second, but it went behind like part of the wall. So I flashback recorded it to like slow it down and see what it was. And yeah, like Tofu's just peeking over with a little beret, like
He just sings out.
yeah, he's just hanging out. It was a funny little Easter egg. I thought that was fun. I do think it's hilarious that Hunk is in the game, but like because he doesn't have the helmet, I was just thought like, oh, he's just a dude, and then it's like you fight him, but I'm like, I have
That is
no,
so funny because everybody I've watched is like, "Oh, well, it's not confirmed, but my headcanon is that's Hunk." So
yeah,
everybody is like, "That's just Hunk."
yeah, and it's like okay, yeah, because I thought like maybe the axe you get from him would be like an indicator of like, oh, used by the elite, code name Hunk of blah blah blah. Because I'm like, he's just a mercenary from the mercenary modes in 2 that you play as, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it's like if they're not like a special, it's not like a Half-Life Blue Shift or opposing forces expansion where you
Dude,
play an entire game as Hunk.
I don't understand why everyone is being so coy about it being Hunk, and like why the game couldn't just call him Hunk, because the game calls him like
Leon's the
eh,
Hunk.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
the game calls him like, miscellaneous commander or something, like if you have the subtitles on, but I'm like, looks like Hunk, fights like Hunk, sounds like Hunk, and Leon like references him as like, "Oh, it's you again," or like something like that, or he says like, "Oh, it's you again." It's like obviously it's Hunk, but like the all the wild speculation of like, "Oh, maybe it's not really Hunk." I'm just like, "Come come on." Like,
Yeah,
really? Why? Why would it not be Hunk? What would be the
yeah,
point otherwise?
yeah, for sure.
There is
Yeah.
a, something that I was watching Ray play the, insanity mode, and people in his chat were pointing out that, like, if you look really close to his model, there is, like, T-virus infection on, like, the parts of the skin that you can see, and then if you leave the area and come back, his body's gone.
Oh,
So people are
interesting.
like, "Oh, speculation." I'm like, "I think it just deloaded his body. I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna stay there forever."
Right. And also, they have that post credits ending too, where they reach down, they grab something at the camera. It's like, okay, what are they grabbing?
Mhm.
So it's like you gotta answer that question. Like, are they grabbing, I don't know, more Elpa's stuff? Are they grabbing something off of Victor, the other dude's head or something? But yeah, I don't know what they're reaching for. So like maybe there could be DLC for that, but yeah, we talked about it in the last episode, but yeah, a lot of stuff. I love like the crafting. I think crafting's a lot of fun. I do think it makes the game a little too easy. Man, I wish there was more customization and difficulty. Like we talk about Tomb Raider, like Tomb Raider being able to choose like, oh, you can have like the enemies be difficult. You can have the environmental puzzles be more difficult by reducing the number of hints you get or clues of like interactables for the puzzles specifically. Like that level of like customization you can do. I wish I could have a little bit more of that because I feel like a lot of games will have adaptive difficulty where, oh, if you have too much of something, it just doesn't spawn more of that item, like more heals, more ammo. But I feel like, and this does have that with ammo, but it's more like the quantity you find is just slightly less. Like, oh, maybe it's 3 bullets instead of 6. But it's like, it's still giving you that stuff. And I'm like, okay. Because it's not like the yellow crates can be empty. They have to have something in them. But it's like the drawers, might have less. But I'm like, I kind of wish it was a little more
I did
difficult.
see a great meme about the crafting system that was like crafting in Resident Evil 9 be like, and then it shows like a 3 panel comic, and it's like panel 1 is blood plus scraps, 30 grams scraps, 40 grams blood. And then the second panel is Grace doing the symbol from like the clap from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where like Edward claps his hands together. And then the third panel is just ammo there. And I'm like, yeah, the crafting system does be like the alchemy and FMA a little bit. It definitely is like that.
Yeah, but I love that the currency for crafting is the blood from the enemies because then it incentivizes you as well to maybe even though they have buckets of it and stuff elsewhere that you can find, but like it's instead of enemies dropping items, you loot the blood, and then that helps you. Because the way they limit you then there is like, okay, you have to find scraps, you have to find bottles. It's not just the blood. Or for Leon, they brought back the bullet crafting with the gunpowder from 3. So it's like, okay. It's like, but I do like the crafting system. I think I hope they keep that kind of expansion in some fashion going forward because I love any game that lets me because I love that trade-off. Like, do you craft heals? Do you craft, offensive weapons? Or now they don't do the thing of like, because you can craft knives, but don't you craft lockpicks? So it's like, okay. So it's like you can kind of pick, they have different utility. And I like having that. It's like, because then the resources don't necessarily need to be limited, but the way you utilize those resources is what can maybe suit your play style. Like if you like to kill everybody, because I killed everyone in the hospital or in the care center as Grace, except for a couple of the blister heads. So then when I was back there as Leon, there was like, except for the sections where only he can get to, there was like no one left. So it's like, okay, I didn't really walk around. So I missed a couple of the pantries that he can open because I'm like, I thought I would spend more time there, but then I
I
accidentally went to the office too quick.
I did the same thing, and I feel like everyone did that, where like Grace was supposed to hide, but as soon as I realized I could kill people with her, I was like, of course I'm gonna kill all the zombies as Grace. Like I'm not gonna just like run around with them everywhere. I'm gonna try to kill them. And I think I killed like one of the blister heads or something, but yeah, I mean I basically killed everybody.
Yeah, there were a few I did leave, where it was like they were just I didn't have to go where they were, so I just like, "Oh, I'll just leave those guys there. I don't need to kill them." Uh, but yeah, I really enjoyed the game overall. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm glad you spend more time in the second half, like we had speculated in the podcast last week, Zaya, how it's like, oh, maybe this is the section because the way you split up is like this will be more Leon, and I'm glad that they brought back in
Yeah.
more of the Grace section. It is really funny that I feel like Liquors after 2 have been really relegated to, like, these weird sections of because even in 5, there's a section, but it's the same situation where it's like, oh, it's in a lab and there's containment and all they do is, like, walk around in a circle and you just have to dodge them or fight them or something, or it's like you have to do a wave of them to fight them, and it's like they're no longer just out and about. Like in 2, I felt like they're utilized in much more interesting ways in that level
Mhm.
versus just being like, oh, it's they go on patrol and you have to like sneak around them and in like this one I felt like okay, it's not quite
Which is a shame because liquors are kind of a great like enemy. They're
Oh
pretty
yeah,
iconic, but yeah, they're not really utilized.
yeah. Because I never knew as a kid that I never took the fact that they're blind. It's all sound. So I was like always like, oh, if they're there, like I have to fight them. Like there's no, I can't just be all sneaky. It's like this is I gotta fight these guys. But even in
Especially
like two
in
remake,
older
I still would
games.
kind of
Oh,
just fight
sorry,
them.
go ahead.
Oh, what was that?
Uh, I was gonna say, especially in the older games, I feel like they were used more as like a jump scare tactic because it's
Oh,
like
for sure.
you encounter them the first time and you're like, "Oh god, this is really scary," and you find out how difficult they are to fight. And so like you come out of a loading screen and there's just a licker down a hallway, but it obviously hasn't seen you or not seen you, heard you. So it's just kind of like staring at the camera and you're in the back of the screen. You're just like, and then you go back through the
Yeah.
door. You're like, "I don't know what to do about this. I have no
You
ammo."
hear you hear the click of the talons when they're walking, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck." Like, they were so much scared to deal with, in those games.
'Cause they just could have been anywhere at any
Yeah,
time at a certain point of the game. You're just like,
yeah,
what do I do?"
yep. It's, yeah, they're great enemies. So, yeah, I definitely feel like they're more like they're the way they're utilized now is a little different, a little frustrating. But, yeah, it's, I like the game overall. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was really upset that Victor didn't turn to, like, a snake because I felt like, "Oh, he's got a snakeskin jacket. His jaw looks like it's gonna open up, kinda maybe Blade 2 style or something."
Oh,
But
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that would've been, like, a really cool kind of like, "Hey, he was kinda goopy the whole time. Did you notice? Now he's a snake."
yeah, but it's like, nah, he's just a and it's weird because like, he turns into the big monitor, he's like, "Oh, Nemesis." I'm like, outside of 3, like, when else has there been a Nemesis in the game where, like, that's definitively like, yeah, people know, like, that's what Nemesis do. They get all big and goopy and tentacly, like, they get very Dead
Mhm.
Space. Like, is that common knowledge with, like, Leon just know? Like, I guess, like, were there I don't think they were in 6. Like, yeah, they're in the movies, but I don't watch the movies. Are those canon?
Mm.
So that threw me off. I was like, whatever. But the parry system was
I
interesting.
think
Uh,
I think there is
uh
a nemesis in the movies, but I also feel
yeah,
like they changed the movie nemesis rules are not the
I
same.
was thinking more the CG movies that
Oh
they did
yeah, I was
because
like,
they have
nah,
like
definitely not the same.
they
But I think
they're
there is a
in
nemesis in the live action ones.
yeah there is in because they take the guy away in the one and it goes, oh well, Project Nemesis, and then he goes off and there's one. But in the CG movies there's like always like a nemesis with a rocket launcher. But I wish I kind of was hoping that in RPD after X kind of goes away that you would have to walk around the city more like in 3, and it would be Nemesis chasing you down or X chasing you down like Nemesis does for Jill in RE3. And I thought that would have been fun, like a short little section, but it was just kind of like, nope, basketball court, do a fight. It's like, okay, he's done.
He's gonna
But
throw a missile at you, it's gonna be epic, now you're gonna fight him.
I hate whenever he threw the cars because I'm like, I couldn't rotate the camera quick enough to see like what he's doing. And just like it always lands behind me and does like small blast stun damage. I'm like, God damn it.
Mhm.
But I like taking the scope off the sniper rifle. I thought that's fun, and then just blasting with it. But yeah, and Leon driving the bike up the knockdown skyscraper. I'm like, were you sure that the other half, like you can kind of see it, but are you sure it was intact enough that you could just jump off and he's like riding the bike over windows? I'm like,
It's
I don't know.
fine, it's fine. What in the Metal Gear Rising?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, where are the dogs? And it's like, oh, here's the dogs in the motorcycle section. Yeah, but they're more like wolves. But yeah, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. Well, I unfortunately I would go to see if I haven't been playing anything else, and I don't know if, aside from FF14 if you played anything else, side. But I unfortunately I don't have enough
Nope.
time. I got a family thing I got to get ready for. So we're just gonna have to call it there. But yeah, it sounds like we all enjoyed Resident Evil very much.
Yeah, great game.
I'm
I
really
Yeah,
glad that it did so well, it's really good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll probably play it
But
again on Insanity and give it a shot and see. I've heard it's brutal, so
yeah, which is funny
It
because it's
is.
not like 7 and 8 were bad, so it's like there's no reason it wouldn't be good. But I'm glad it's like even more so. Cause I just the idea of the split campaign, which I was like, oh man, I hope this is like the winning formula going forward.
I
But it's like,
wasn't sold
Yeah.
on it, and they did it really well. But I
yeah,
definitely was not sold on it.
I think it's really fun. I love the idea of I do wish that the interstitial segments as Leon were a little longer, but it's fun to be like, oh, I have no inventory and hardly any resources, and it's scary to all right, let's kick some ass. and and then go back to scary. I think it's a nice little like breakup in the stuff. But yeah, I love the entire care center section I thought was really fun, and I hope we get more of that in future games, because we talked about it last episode. But like the castle in Village, like it's not that long of a level,
Yeah.
and I like how long you spend in the care center, plus the under, like the basement tunnel area as well. Like that's fun little like mechanic of moving the batteries back and forth. So it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll see what they do with DLC and stuff. All right, well, unfortunately we'll have to call it there. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Zaya, for joining.
Yep.
Mhm.
And we'll see you all next time.
Later.
Bye.